Number 25, one of my favorite subjects, Wayne.
All right, Jeff. One of mine too. This spring, we have received a number of complaints on the upkeep of lawns, especially now that growing season is at the height. And right now, we have a list, we're trying to keep track of these. We have a list of 9 right now, properties. These are the ones that we've received complaints on, know about. I'm sure there's a lot of others in the town. And just want the board to be aware of this and discuss how we should handle it. The code requires the grass to be 10 inches long before we can do anything on it. And 10 inches is pretty unsightly long. And once it reaches that height, then we get complaints. We have to try to notify the owner if we can find the owner. A lot of these properties, and it seems to be becoming more prevalent, is they're in foreclosure. The owners have just left town. The banks have taken them over. We have to then notify the bank, and the bank has to have their maintenance people come out and take care of these. It's just it's something that is time consuming, and it's not easy to do for our department because of the time lapse we have and the number of complaints that we get while this whole process is going on. People don't realize that we just can't go out and immediately mow these properties, which I'm not advocating that we get into the property maintenance business, but that's one alternative if we have to. But you know, whether it's hard for me to come up and say or go to landscapers and say how much is it going to cost to mow a lawn. They aren't going to give you a cost because it depends on how big a mess the lawn is, if they have to move a lot of debris, if they have to do a major cleanup before they can get in there. Depends on the size of the lawn. It depends on a number of things. So they can't just give you a price per lawn. They have to go out and look at each individual parcel and then come through and tell you what it's going to be. And then you have to evaluate the proposals and then tell somebody to go out and do it, and then they'll fit it in their schedule. So it's a long drawn out process, and I just would like any input or your recommendations on what to do to these.
Can't this, if we have this done, can't this be added onto their tax bill if we can't find who or what owns the property?
You don't actually have a procedure in place for that to happen.
We do?
You do not.
You don't?
You do not.
Okay.
So if that's something you want to consider being able to do, Wayne and I have in the past discussed that and come up with ideas for that, and that's something that we can present to you for consideration.
I think we should.
Okay.
Unfortunately, though, we need to speed the process up because this isn't a new problem. This is a problem that's existed for years. Unfortunately, the problem is more obvious now because there's more people. They have foreclosed homes and mortgage companies are taking them over. Banks have got them, and banks and these mortgage companies are not good neighbors. They could care less about if you live next door and the grass is 2 foot high. They could care less.
Well, I mean, and again, Chet, as you know, the lawns are just one issue. I mean, we have
Swimming pools,
we have security issues like the house up on Florence. There's other issues that we could apply this to.
You know, and if you're, the biggest problem is they'll call Wayne or they'll call me or whomever they call, but they don't want to wait 2 months, and I don't blame them. If I live next door, I wouldn't want to wait 2 months. We need to speed the process up to give Wayne the ability to get it cleaned up quicker. By the time we mess around with some of these, the summer's just half over and it's like a pasture.
And the grass keeps growing.
Exactly. Or the pool keeps getting greener, which is happening now. We've got one now with a pool that's as green as the grass. I don't know if there's any suggestions.
Well, I wonder if you could seek an individual or individuals that would be available on call like we have for the animal control or something like that. That would speed it up. I mean, you would still have to do the due diligence of finding out if the bank owns or if a person owns it. But it would go a little faster, I think, if we had somebody on call, if we could, seek some, I mean, I'm just throwing that out. I don't know if that's a good idea or not.
Would they be paid by the hour or by the, would they give us a proposal for each individual property? I mean, those are questions I have.
Yeah,
I think you're gonna have to get a proposal for each job.
right,
I don't think you could just say, how much is it gonna cost without them looking at it and.
right. But
Right.
if there was somebody that was, if we put out a notice that we were seeking an individual who would be willing to take this on and then be willing to give us a price without taking 2-3 months to do it. I don't know if that would end up being legal or not.
Well, and I'm wondering about,